The total revenue test is another way that we can determine whether or not a good is elastic. It's fairly direct, although it's not as accurate as using the midpoint method. The total revenue method basically just asks you to look at the relationship between the price and the total revenue that the firm brings in. Total revenue is just the amount of money that the firm receives for selling its product, and it's calculated price times quantity. So how many did they sell? How much were they charging? That tells us the firm's total revenue, sometimes also called sales. Now, once we have those numbers, we can compare the relationship or the change in price and the change in total revenue. So in the example that we have here, in the chart that we have here, when a good is elastic, you see that price and total revenue are going in opposite directions. Why? Well, when a good is elastic and the price goes down, there's such a, because the change in quantity demand is so much larger than the change in price in percentage terms, then they end up with more total revenue. In other words, we're taking less money per unit, but we're selling so many more units that we actually end up with more revenue. Unit elastic is the price changes, but because the price and the quantity demanded are offsetting each other in percentage terms, there's no change in revenue. So a 20% decrease in price meets with a 20% increase in the quantity demanded, and at the end of the day, the firm ends up with the same amount of revenue as it started with. And then finally, we have inelastic. When the good is inelastic, then lowering the price is going to lower the total revenue. In other words, you're taking less per unit, and not that many more people are buying. So as a result, those additional people buying don't offset the additional losses that you're taking per unit. And that really gets at the heart of where the total revenue test is useful for us. What it tells us essentially is if our good is elastic, we can increase our revenue by cutting the price. And if our good is inelastic, we could increase our revenue by raising our price.